Well, good hello to you. It's Alexander T. Newport, your Philobabulous extraordinaire. It's the 20th of February, 2025. I'm going to read aloud this book I wrote, The Forbidden Words of Zen Master Ching-Chang. Copyright Alexander T. Newport, 2022. And let's begin, shall we? This is the preamble. And in the emerald lush land of Kubla Khan, near the gentle river of vanilla honey, just south of the mountain of lavender snow, lived a gardener of cinnamon named Papa, and his 50-pound cat, Ching-Chang. The words that will unfold before you are the conclusions of Ching-Chang as dictated to his Papa on numerous Saturday mornings from 8:15 to 9:45 in the year 969. Ching-Chang advises the reader to contemplate the following declaration before delving into this book. You were born with a deck of cards within you, and when you read a book of conclusions or best guesses, some books will contain cards that match the cards you were born with. The conclusion or best guess will resonate within you. It will ring your bell, a bell of affirmation. It will ring a bell that was already within you. A book cannot give you cards that you do not already possess. It cannot give you advice that you do not already follow. It can only shine a light on what you already have. If you disagree with or fail to understand a conclusion or best guess, that's because you were not born with that card in your deck. It is not yours to know in this particular incarnation. Chapter 1. Zen Master Ching-Chang is master of nothing and no one, and believes Zen and all other schools of philosophical and spiritual and religious thought are nothing but cults. He refers to himself as a Zen master because he likes it as a title. He likes to believe he is wise and profound, but he knows without a doubt he is only a dreamer playing a role he cannot stop playing until the day he dies. Chapter 2. Zen Master Ching-Chang, a 50-pound cat with unusual colors, says, if you are searching for enlightenment, then it will be found when you realize you have been searching for a hat that's already on your head. So, the question is, young turd hopper, how have you convinced yourself that you have lost your hat? How have you convinced yourself that the ordinary, everyday feeling of feeling all right in spite of all that is fucked up ain't a good enough place to be? When the search begins, an alarm should go off warning you that you are about to exasperate and perpetuate exactly the kind of feelings of being trapped that you are attempting to escape from. Chapter 3. Zen Master Ching-Chang does not accept disciples or students or fanboys. When he meows, his Papa writes down the words and publishes them in the middle of obscurity. Zen Master Ching-Chang likes the silent, dark warmth of anonymity. If word got around locally of what he says, he would be besieged by both critics and fans. For Ching-Chang says there are no ways or means with which to avoid the feelings, things, and experiences you want to avoid. You are better off believing you live in some sort of temporary hell or nightmare and that you actually have an enormous resilience to pain and worry and disappointments. No matter how rough the ride gets at times, you have survived. You are here today, still dreaming, still mortal. Chapter 4. The tree and embryo grow on automatic pilot, and so what makes you think you don't? Their growth is their life unfolding, as this moment right here, right now, is unfolding for you, one word at a time. Anxiety is unnecessary concern about the automatic unfolding of which you have no control over. There's far too many moving parts connected to the circumstance, situation, and condition you want to change. Anxiety happens when you think you should be in control of what you actually have no control over. We always begin to feel better as soon as we stop trying to feel better. Sometimes we just have to burn no matter what, but we get through it, and when we don't, We die and wake up from this ever so peculiar nightmare. Nothing lost, nothing gained, just another dream behind us in the middle of forever. Chapter 5. The Zen Master stories are fun to listen to precisely because they are idealistic, cartoonish characters that never existed, nor, if you think about it long enough, would anyone truly want to mimic or aspire to, because they are the equivalent of dull mushrooms detached from the soap opera emotions we came here to experience. Ain't no breathtaking grief in reality heaven. Ain't no squabbles or guilt or self-loathing or despair. The Zen Master is the equivalent of someone who takes a packed lunch to a gourmet restaurant, or someone who drinks non-alcoholic beer, or takes puffs from a marijuana pipe, but doesn't inhale. The Zen Master stories are fun to listen to because ultimately they teach the following unchanging truths about this human world. We live in a mystery. We do not remember being alive before being this human we are at the moment. We don't know how this world came to exist. We don't know how this human life happened. We can't tell for sure whether it is unfolding and unfurling moment by moment as if it's running on a script, or if we are just making it up as we stumble along, inch by inch. We notice we cannot change our preferences and taste for things. We cannot make ourselves like what we honestly don't like the taste or feel of. We cannot make ourselves stop liking the taste or feel of something we like. We cannot change any of the spokes in the wheel of our personality. We cannot change the good or bad about our human selves. A good deed does not undo a bad one. A bad deed does not nullify a previous good one. I'll say that again. A bad deed does not nullify a previous good one. Anyone can die at any time, at any place, and no one knows when or how or where they're gonna die. And somehow, the fact that death can happen so easily, say it again, and somehow, the fact that death can happen so easily to anyone of any age hints at the idea that it might just be the end of a dream, the waking up from an intense dream life, or the end of some sort of spiritual drug trip, and a return to your home state of never-changing spiritual sanity and sobriety, rather than a helpless, unpreventable fall into an abyss of darkness and silence that there will be no you to be aware of. Chapter 6. Zen Master Ching-Chang, a 50-pound cat with unusual colors, taught that the pursuit of happiness is proof you don't really know what happiness is. It's not a destination. Ching-Chang quotes Sun Yi. If you can't find happiness where you are right here, right now, where do you plan to wander in search of it? Ching-Chang taught that happiness, if it exists, can only be stumbled upon in the here and now, in the ordinary things, and it can only be stumbled upon when you are not pursuing it, nor running from unhappiness. We often feel better fairly quickly the moment we stop trying to feel better. Sometimes we can't feel better and just have to burn. Here we are today, even though we have burned thousands of times. Our resilience is astonishing, although we rarely give it credit or appreciation. And what is it that burns? What is the flame? Is it not resistance to what is? And isn't what is simply an assessment based on criteria that you are voluntarily holding your human self up to and can let go of like a hot potato at any time you choose? Ching-Chang says that's what we all end up doing every single time the pain gets too great and we start thinking about suicide. We drop the criteria. We let ourselves off the hook. We stop holding ourselves up to any idealistic standards. We stop trying to be Zen masters. We stop believing in Zen masters. We stop trying to be better. Stop trying to improve. Stop giving a damn about what we don't have and simply agree to be all that is good and bad. We take pleasure or enjoyment with what we have to hand, at what is within our immediate reach, at what is simple and ordinary. And yet, Is any action or inaction actually voluntary? Do you really have a choice in a scripted dream? Chapter 7. Zen Master Ching-Chang is precisely classified as a master because he says such persons do not actually exist. Their pristine words of profound and wise meanings are taken out of the context of their ever-natural, all-too-human, fart-fouling, butt-wiping, burp-belching, stinky-poo-making soap opera lives of moods and worries and disappointments, storms and sunny days, failures and achievements. Chapter 8. Zen Master Ching-Chang laughs at those who teach others to hero worship and aspire to be like those who are said to be able to keep their heads together in all circumstances, situations, and conditions, whilst those around them lose theirs. Chapter 9. Zen Master Ching-Chang points us to the beginning of your search. You thought Zen, or something else, would lead you to a life of constant inner peace. But if you weren't able to find it within yourself as you were, the Zen Master knows you must exhaust yourself searching for it outside of you. When you can neither find it outside of you nor inside of you, you will stop searching, and you will rest in your failure, and within that rest you will realize you have let yourself off the hook, that you were the one who put himself on the hook in the first place. Chapter 10. With a life that can actually stop abruptly at any time and any place, do you think it would be realistic and reasonable for anyone to be expected to be anyone other than who they find themselves to be right now, flaws and all? You're often nagged by a sense that you're on the way to somewhere. You're on the way to winning the lottery, on the way to becoming famous, on the way to greener pastures. This next book will make your name. You just got to get through today without killing yourself. You just got to put up with things being less than ideal as a means to an end. That may not come. You wonder if you're just chasing a carrot on the end of a stick, all the way to your grave. You'd rather be here now and just relax in a state of no pursuit, no assessments, just a gentle appreciation for isness, here and now, without leading to anywhere or anything better. Just sitting with a cup of coffee and a pussycat on your lap whilst you look out the window at the cars driving by. Chapter 11. You began this human life as a mysterious event. You know you're alive because you are aware that you are a thinking, feeling person. But you cannot recall being alive before your mysterious event, your birth into this mysterious world. How did this world happen? What caused you to appear within it? You cannot recall being alive before being a human, and you cannot imagine with any conviction what it could be like to be alive after death. Chapter 12. As you grow older, you ask more questions and receive many answers, and eventually conclude that most of the answers are wrong. Most of the thinkers do not think things out to their logical conclusions. And as you grow even older, you realize at the end of the day, it truly does not matter what the questions or answers are. No truths or realizations or moments of enlightenment will be achievements or accomplishments because they were unpreventable occurrences that you intended and scripted before this world ever existed. They were meant to unfold and unfurl exactly the way they did, and not one of them will prevent the pain and hassles and your embarrassing reactions to them scheduled in your future. Chapter 13. Spiritually speaking, no one is living wrongly. This is the equivalent of a harmless dream. A dream is a dream is a dream, and there is honestly no wrong way to dream a dream. Whilst you are dreaming this dream, there will be reports of those dreamers who have awakened within this dream and realized it is only a dream. But if they are still alive to talk about it, then they are not awake. Death is the only way anyone wakes up. Until death, every moment of the dream is only a dream, no matter how enlightened or holy or blissful or undreamlike it appears to be. And why would an eternal person dream a dream at all? Why not remain forever aware of your stable, static, dependable, and trustworthy, never changing home state of sanity and sobriety, reality heaven? Why choose to forget that never changing reality? Why choose to forget the truth about being a person who has always been alive? Why choose to forget you are perfect and cannot be changed or improved or diminished? Why get caught up in a soap opera drama full of mostly liars and lies? Why subject yourself to a mysterious adventure in a life filled with uncertainty and confusion and pain? Why subject yourself to a world where absolutely every living thing dies and doesn't know when or where or how it's going to die? Why would anyone choose to forget that what is real cannot beget anything real? That what is eternal cannot beget anything eternal. That what is conscious cannot beget any consciousness. Chapter 14. There is no grand collective one to rejoin or align with, because if such a thing truly exists, then you can never be apart from it. This is your dream, and your dream alone, and it does not obey anyone's rules. There is no grand nature or universe outside of you to align with, because if such things exist, then you can never be apart from them. Dreaming you're apart from them is certainly not the same thing as actually being separate from them, just like water can dream it has lost its wetness, but it ain't so. Chapter 15. Zen Master Ching-Chang says, when nothing real can be threatened or changed, then there is no possible way whatsoever to dream a wrong dream. Be bad, do good. Feel bad, feel good. Clean or dirty, rich or poor, lazy or ambitious, successful or a failure, it all ends in tears for most everyone here, and they are eventually forgotten as if they never even existed. And so, if it ultimately does not matter what you did or didn't do here, then why wait until the end or afterwards to benefit from acknowledging that it really don't mean diddly dick in the ultimate scheme of things? If it doesn't ultimately matter, then it doesn't really fucking matter right now. And yet, am I not here for all the crazy feelings I don't experience in my never-changing reality of spiritual sanity and sobriety? Am I really here to defeat feeling bad when I never feel bad at home? Am I really here to defeat fear when I'm always fearless at home? Am I really here to pursue bliss when I am forever blissful at home? Chapter 16. Zen Master Ching-Chang says you can't do anything spiritually wrong here, no matter how wrong society or anyone else says it is. What is spiritual is eternal and cannot be changed or harmed or even threatened. The only spiritual things that exist are thinking, feeling persons who are aware they are thinking, feeling persons. Each is perfectly equal and equally perfect to one another. Not one is older or younger, dumber or smarter. They have always been alive and always will be alive. And though there is no such thing as spiritual wrongness, there is very much such a thing as the fact that you live in a world amongst creatures where certain actions and behavior are considered wrong and punishable by some sort of pain or outright termination of your mortal existence. Chapter 17. No words will always soothe or encourage you. Sometimes you just have to burn. Sometimes Zen Master Ching-Chang used to have to burn when his papa dutifully and stupidly vaccinated him once a year. Afterwards, Ching-Chang would feel nauseous and dizzy and sit in the same spot for 24 hours or more. No eating, no drinking, just sitting very, very still and stoic. Papa eventually learned there are no viruses, no contagious bacteria, and no contagious illnesses or diseases. Papa learned this because his script unfurled and showed him that synthetic medicines, especially antibiotics and vaccines, are seriously unwelcomed by all biological bodies and are in fact toxic, harmful, and fatal. There has never, ever been a vaccine that was safe or effective or necessary. Chapter 18. Porky Pig was a friar during the days of Robin Hood, and he was super chilled like a Zen master. He coolly and easily thwarted every attack attempted by Daffy Duck. He epitomizes what every fanboy of Zen masters fancy. He is the unconquerable hero. He is always centered, never chaotic. He is mankind at his so-called ideal. He is too good to be true. He is the impossible dream. He is the carrot on the end of the stick. Chapter 19. And so the Zen masters, who are masters of nothing and know it, they know each living creature is not only dreaming a unique subjective dream, but is the dream itself. And there is absolutely, unequivocally, no wrong way to dream a dream. They know you scripted a soap opera life of ups and downs and that you are the cause of the dream you are living out in the flesh. A dream you conceived at your home, the home you actually are, before this physical world ever began. Chapter 20. Zen Master Ching-Chang, master of nothing and no one, famous for saying, "He who hesitates masturbates," appeared on stage before a congress of Zen masters, esteemed philosophers, and Indian gurus. He sat upright, looked from left to right, and right to left, and then began to speak. When we are asleep in our beds and having a dream, how often does it occur to us that we are actually in bed asleep? How often does it occur to us when in a dream we tell someone it is only a dream, and yet when we wake up we realize we had not actually realized in the dream that we were actually in bed asleep? Why do all dreams seem to begin as if we are joining a movie already in progress? Chapter 21. Zen Master Ching-Chang said, "Ming Ming Mao was once asked by an angry young man, 'You are known for saying this life is just a dream, and yet you offer no proof.' To which Ming Ming Mao replied, with a smile, 'I can prove it now by pointing out that if you were awake, you would have no doubts and require no proof.'" Chapter 22. Zen Master Ching-Chang continued, "We are a congress of independently minded thinkers. We are skeptical. We are rebels. We look up to no one and despise all cults. We are cynical and scrutinize every statement and declaration and conclusion to the nth degree. We have sifted through the world's philosophies and religions for nuggets of truth. Truths being facts that do not appear to change over the course of time. Facts that are the result of deductive reasoning, deducing, reducing, boiling everything down to indestructible crystals that can't be altered or modified by any so-called new facts or data. And we have searched and sifted through ourselves and experiences for nuggets of truth. And here's what we have found, over and over and over, for the past 3 million years. If this life begins as a mystery, then common sense dictates it will always be mysterious. What's mysterious? The weather, the climate, the personalities of all living creatures, the life stories of all living creatures. Does anyone know why they are alive as a temporary creature in a temporary world where every living thing dies? Does anyone really know what death means? Given that it began as a mystery and will always be mysterious, any man and every man can only guess with his logic and reason and intuition about the truthful answers. And any man and every man must know that only guesses can be offered by any man and every man. And therefore, no truthful answers can be proven objectively or empirically to be true. And I ask you, gentlemen, where else but within a dream would a thinking, feeling person have no clue about who and what he really is? Where else but within a dream does one have to wonder and guess about never-changing facts otherwise known as truth? Where else but within a dream would the truth be mysterious? Where else but within a dream would words have more than one meaning? Chapter 23. We, the enlightened, who know enlightenment means nothing in a world of perpetual mystery and surprises, we learned how to tie our shoes, and learned how to read and write, and learned how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide whole numbers, and we applied the same ability to learn to figure out the answers to the following 4 fundamental questions of philosophy, spirituality, and enlightenment. Why am I alive in a temporary world? Is there a God? What happens when I die? Was this life scripted and planned before this world began? Or was it all about luck and chance and odds and accidents and making it up as I went along? And we are gathered here today, gentlemen, because the word got out that we all arrived in our own unique ways at the following criteria and answers. We realized over the course of many years that the answers to our questions must be the epitome of simplicity, fearlessness, and good news for all living creatures. These criteria were arrived at through experiences of bliss, sometimes called cosmic consciousness, and through innumerable periods of contemplating the meaning of true, altruistic, holistic, infinitely intelligent, fearless, unconditional love. The only kind of life there is consciousness, and consciousness means an entity who thinks and feels and is aware that it is a thinking, feeling entity. For reasons unknown by us mere mortals, consciousness can only be eternal. A thinking, feeling entity can only be eternal. This means it has always been alive. It was not born or created, and because it was not created, and certainly did not create itself, it has no possibility to change or improve or diminish or be destroyed. It never began, and it will never end, and has always been alive, perfect and whole. Part of the package of our perfection includes an infinite intelligence and imagination. After all, as eternal thinking, feeling spirits, we are alive in the middle of forever, and so what are we to think and feel throughout it? Obviously, we have figured out how to use our infinite intelligence and imaginations so that we can immerse ourselves in dreams of mystery, dreams whereby we forget we are eternal and perfect, dreams whereby we don't even realize we are dreaming. The opposite of a dream is reality. The opposite of a dream is our home state of awareness, our home state of never-changing spiritual sanity and sobriety. Our home reality never changes, just as we ourselves never change. Our home feels blissful compared to our lives in this dream. The bliss is never ending. Nothing can interfere with it. Nothing can interrupt it. It's like a pretty conservatory with exotic plants that smell beautiful, along with lovely music that never stops. And it never ever changes. Same scene, same scents, same sounds, forever and ever and ever. And good God, man, why stay on the same program when you can change the channel anytime you please? Why remain in a never changing reality when you can escape for however long you please into a dream whereby you forget you are eternal and perfect and are rarely, if ever, blissful? Zen Master Ching-Chang coughed loudly 3 times and then quietly answered the 4 fundamental questions. I am alive as a temporary creature in a temporary world because I got bored with bliss and wanted an adventurous and mysterious vacation from home. There is no God, no singular creator of eternal conscious entities, otherwise known as perfect spirits. Eternal entities have always existed and therefore have quite obviously never been created or invented or made or imagined or controlled by anyone or anything. Death is very obviously the way living creatures wake up from this particular dream world. It is automatic and natural and always on schedule. It can never come too soon or too late, in spite of what any human may claim regarding so-called preventable mistakes. Death is our return to bliss. We do not think about those we left behind. We do not haunt this dream world. We forget about this dream and literally rest in peaceful bliss until it gets boring once again. For reasons unknown by us mere mortals, a temporary physical world and life can only be the product of intention, design, engineering, and scripting. It can only be the product of thinking, feeling entities with infinite intelligence. It cannot happen without planning. It cannot happen by accident. It has to unfold and unfurl in order to be experienced. The only ones who can experience the unfolding and unfurling are the very ones who folded and furled their story lives themselves before this world manifested. When at home, and not immersed in a dream, a perfect spirit has free will, free play to think and feel and dream whatever it wants to think or feel or dream. All dreams are scripted and planned before being dreamt. Once a dream begins, there is no more free will, free play. The story is locked by the law of destiny. It's no good intending to dream an adventure if someone can use free will to break free from the script and commit actions that have a domino effect on everyone else's script so that no one gets to live the story they had intended. What we find most difficult to accept is that we ourselves scripted every moment of pain and hassle we have ever had or will have in this lifetime. Chapter 24. And so, gentlemen, said Zen Master Ching-Chang, master of nothing and no one, the frightened and confused people come to us for advice, and we ask them, is there a wrong way to dream a dream? How have you convinced yourself that you are lost and others are found? When or where did you pick up the idea that the pain and misery you are feeling is not supposed to be experienced? If there was a method or practice or way or ceremony or discipline that could help you prevent pain and misery forevermore, isn't it likely you would have found it on your own by now? What makes you think it's outside of you? Just because you can't find it inside of you? Well then, perhaps it doesn't actually exist. Eh, Sherlock? Many humans make a living, and some even become wealthy by telling other humans how to find something they should have found within themselves on their own if it had actually been available. Chapter 25. All that happens was meant to happen. We know, philosophically, that as wrong as any wrong appears to be, it's not really wrong if it was scripted. And though we know this dream was scripted by ourselves when we were sane and sober in heaven, we must live this life as if we are making it up as we go along. We must live amongst humans who believe in chance and luck and odds and accidents and random, inexplicable happenings. We must live amongst those who believe death is an annihilation of consciousness. We must live amongst those who believe illness, disease, and symptoms are contagious. We must live amongst those who can't see how biological bodies instantly begin to reject any synthetically created medicines, vaccines, and antibiotics, and in fact treat them as assailants, as enemies to their natural harmony. We live amongst those who believe a God created them, the world, and everything else. We live amongst those who believe in demons and ghosts. Chapter 26. Zen Master Ching-Chang, master of nothing and no one, and certainly not of his appetite, concluded his speech by saying, "The uppermost top of the tippy top, which may or may not actually exist, is our realization and conclusion of the forbidden knowledge that everyone must deny and ridicule and refuse to accept until their dying day. We are riding within robots. Our mortal lives are robotic. That which has been predetermined and scripted and designed and engineered to unfold and unfurl does so automatically and robotically. The writer has only scripted illusions and delusions of controlling the robot it has manifested. The robot is temporary and destructible, and the writer is eternal and can never be harmed or destroyed. Yes! Talk about the ghost in the machine, the eternal riding the temporary. And so, given we are spiritually formless and eternally conscious, we are actually nobodies in the middle of nowhere and forever, accomplishing nothing real or necessary. We are as free can possibly be." And that concludes the forbidden words of Zen Master Ching-Chang, copyright 2022 Alexander T. Newport. It's available at all Amazons worldwide. It'd be really groovy if you bought a copy and you left a little review. Just leave a little review. It makes all the difference in the world. Makes me feel appreciated. Makes me feel a sense of applause. All right, well, groovy. Today's date was the 20th of February, 2025. I've been your host, Alexander T. Newport, the Emperor of Sages. Funny how nobody gives me any shit about calling myself that. Right on. Be cool, fool.